So now, as we know that we are starting chapter number 5, that is a morphology of plant. So here is the chapter. Part 1, morphology of flowering plant. And in this chapter, we are going to study about root system, stem, and leaf. So your vegetative organs of the plants. Now, if I'm talking about plants or the parts of the plants, they are basically divided into two categories. So plants are having two types of parts. One is parts of plants. One is vegetative. And the other is sexual. Now the difference between both of them is, when I'm talking about main chief organs which are associated except the sexual activities, which are not associated in sexual activities, they are called vegetative parts. Now, why it is said to be vegetative? Because they are chief constituent of vegetation, that is plant. And the three main vegetative components of your plants are: number one, leaf; number two, root; and number three, stem. I have given this number based on 1, 2, and 3. I have given this number according to their origin and evolution. The first part which have been evolved is photosynthetic part, leaf. Second part which is evolved is absorptive part, that is a root. And third part which is evolved is transporting system, that is stem. So these are three vegetative components or parts of the plants which we are going to study in this chapter, that is part 1. Now, morphological structure, this term is used with all the characteristics which can be studied externally, not internally. So external components which can be seen by our naked eyes are called morphological characters. Morph is equal to structure, and morphology to study this structure. Now comes sexual organs or sexual component of your plants. We have chiefly main three organs. Number one, it is the flower. Flower is the chief component which is responsible for sexual activities. It is reproductive. The actual name, sexual, is not logical name. It is reproductive organs. So flower is a chief reproductive organ of the plant, flowering plant specifically. Out of the flower, what we get is seeds, which is connected for reproduction process. And third one is fruit. So these three components or parts are connected or associated with the reproductive process. That's why number one, flower, number two, seeds, and number three, fruits. These three components are, three parts are reproductive parts of plants. I hope this hierarchy is very much clear in your mind. Please give me confirmation by saying either yes or no.
Yes, sir.
यस
Good.
सर आपने वेजिटेटिव में ये कहा ना कि उसमें सेक्सुअल थिंग्स मतलब नहीं होती है
नहीं होती है, नहीं होती है, exactly
ओके
right.
ओके सर
Any doubt if you have, you are free to ask. Without hesitation, you must clear your doubt within the lectures. This is the benefit we are getting from Zoom lectures, so that you can communicate with me at the time when you have a doubt. Ready? So it is a virtual classroom, what we say. Please take the screenshot of this slide. Taken?
Yes, sir.
यस सर
Good. Good. Please make your own notes according to whatsoever slides are going to come, or whatsoever things I am writing on the screen. By taking the screenshot, you are supposed to make your own notes, and that will be checked by me personally whensoever we'll be meeting first time. Ready? So please be concerned about that.
Sir, means we have to make PDF and send to you.
It is not required. Just make a note, right? And whensoever we'll be meeting, generally when classroom starts, I'll check it later on.
Okay.
Fine. So we are starting with the introduction of the chapter. The classification of the plants, chapter number 3. We have two categories of the plant: non-flowering plant and flowering plants. Now, non-flowering plants includes the algae, the fungi, right? These kind of lower category plants are which are not producing sexually, right? They are not producing flower. That is why they are non-flowering plant. But higher category of plant may be gymnosperm or angiosperms. They produce flower because they wish to produce sexually. So they are using sexual mode of reproduction for their generation of offspring, and that is why they are creating most number of variations amongst them. They are able to create huge set of variations, and that's the reason why they are dominant over the nature. If we see around us, we find so many different types of plants which are flowering plants. Ready? So I have clear one matter which is given here, that the angiosperms shows large diversity in external structure or morphology. Now the basic reason behind these diversity or large diversity is they are producing by sexual mode of reproduction. Now, advantage of sexual mode of reproduction we have gone through in chapter number 10. Meiosis and mitosis process we have studied, and meiosis, which are producing the gametes by gametogenesis. In the advantage of meiosis we have gone through, that they are creating the variation by mean of crossing over. I hope you remember that. So
Yes, sir.
diversity is a chief feature of any organism which uses sexual mode of reproduction, and that is why angiosperm is showing the huge diversity, because they are producing sexually. Now, examples of this diversity is given here. Wolffia is the name of the plant, which is only 0.1 mm by its diameter. So very, very, we can say the tiny plant. And if I talk about eucalyptus plant, it is as high as 100 meter. So very gigantic plant. So height is up to 100 meter, not mm. Right? And the third example which is given, banyan tree. So it covers, that is, its width is maximum what we can find is 3 to 5 acres of the width. So that width it can cover. So this shows the variety of different types of external structure, tiniest to tallest one to giant one. Ready? So that shows the degree of the diversity here by this example. Now, if I talk about the number of species of angiosperm, approximately 3 lakhs of species can be found around us. Right? So that's the introduction of the chapter. That if I talk about flowering plant, or chiefly the dominant one, that is angiosperm, they have huge variety by their structure and functions. Ready? So we are right now concerning about only structure, not the functions. So morphological, they are in huge variety. And the examples which are, you are supposed to remember this example perfectly, because they are going to ask in the examination. So do remember all of these facts, figures, etc. Ready? Please take the screenshot. Fine. So if you see in the snaps, which is shown into the screen, the first one is the Wolffia, which is 0.1 mm plant. So you can see on the finger, if you see the dots, each dot is a single plant. It is Wolffia. And the second diagram, what you can see is eucalyptus, the second one, the 100-meter tall plant. Right? So you have two examples, classic example of Wolffia and eucalyptus with reference to the diversity, degree of the diversity. This is third example, banyan tree near Kolkata. Right? It is very historical with reference to Indian history and Indian botanical history specifically. This banyan tree in Kolkata is the bigger than average Walmart. That is the mall, the store which is found. 250 year is the age of this plant, right? And it covers 3.5 square acre of the land, which is equal to roughly 156 square feet, or 14,400 square meters. So it is covering very huge area. So it is by size, not by height. By width, it is covering a huge space. Please take the screenshot of this slide and this slide as well. Okay, let me define first the adaptation. Right now, adaptation is process of any organism by which it is making themselves comfortable in their surrounding atmosphere or habitat. Habitat means the place where they are living. So adaptation of plants in different environment will be different. It means the plant which is seen in desert will be definitely far different than plant which is seen into the forest or into the grassland. Right. So the wide variety or wide range in structure of the higher plant will never fail to facilitate us. Right. So we are getting attracted, we are getting surprised by them, that how wide variety, wide degree of varieties they are having. And classification of the plant is based on these differences. Right? So that's the advantage what we are getting to classify them. It is based on their differences or adaptations. Please take the screenshot. Fine. Now, if you can see the diagram which is given in front of you, it is a general structure or general parts of the flowering plant. If you see the general structure of the plant, above the soil is one types of part, and under the soil they have the other part. Now, part which is under the soil is known as a root system, and part which is above the ground is shoot system. The part of shoot system is flower, fruit, stem, leaf, buds, etc. The main axis is stem, right, which shows nodes from where either new branch will grow or the flower, fruit, or leaf can grow. The space between two successive nodes is internode. So that's the description or introduction of all the parts of shoot system. I repeat the names. Main axis is your stem. The stem bears leaf, fruits, flowers, or buds. Now, either fruit or flower or leaf is grown on stem or branch at a particular point called node, and the place between two successive nodes are internodes. So that's the story of shoot system. Now, if I talk about root system is having a main axis which is called primary root, and the branches which are found on primary root are secondary, tertiary, or quaternary roots successively. And that system which is composed by primary, secondary, tertiary roots is known as root system. So this is all about the general structure of the plants. Ready? Any doubt in this? You can ask if you have any doubt. Please take the screenshot. So this is the classification of flowering plant, and in that various parts. As I have told you about the various parts of the plants. So basic parts are two. A, vegetative parts, and B, reproductive parts. Vegetative part further are classified into root system and shoot system. Shoot system consists of branches, leaf, stem, and reproductive parts are having flower, fruit, and seeds. So that is chief or main constituent of the part called vegetative and flowering or reproductive part, which is flower, fruits, and seeds. So it is the classification or classification of the parts of the plant which is given. So you please take the screenshot of this slide as well. Okay. Now we are talking first about root, as if it is given same way with the what we can say into the textbook. Now, what is the adaptation of root? Let me clarify first about the mechanism of evolution of the parts of the plant. Okay, the very first plant which is evolved are algae, and this algae first time set up or start up their life in fresh water. They have started their life into fresh water. And they were found to be mostly unicellular. Did you finish with chapter number 2 and 3?
Just 2, sir, not 3.
Classification of algae?
No, sir.
Okay, no issue. So it will actually covering that portion as well, clarify that point as well. Look, for example, when on the earth, for example, this is land, and this is, for example, ocean. Ready? So ocean floor have the initial cells called prokaryotic, which furthermore develop themselves into more advanced version of the cell called eukaryotic cell. Up to that, there was no fresh water source on the land. Then after, due to the extreme weather condition on the earth, earthquake and whatsoever the reason would be, we have mountain range later on. mountain ranges which are formed. So on the top of mountain ranges, they have ice tops. Glaciers have been made, and they have in turn resulted into freshwater bodies like rivers and all that. So rivers, etc. Let me quote them as freshwater bodies. So I am writing freshwater bodies there. Now eukaryotes which are present on, or sorry, in the water of the oceans, they sometimes migrate towards the place where fresh water meets the ocean water. This is salty, not salty, but extremely salty. This is slightly salty, and fresh water is not at all salty. Barabar sir? I hope you are clear with this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
if these eukaryote cells are migrating into slightly salty region, they able to survive. But if bulthi, they are migrated towards freshwater bodies, they die because they are not adapted to live in the condition where they do not find the nutrition from the water. So death is never liked by any of the living organism, including us. We don't want to die. So those organisms which are migrating towards fresh body by force, they do not want to die. So what they are supposed to do then? So they have developed one new organelle called dash to synthesize the food from sunlight. So what is that dash according to you? Which organelle they have evolved according to you in order to synthesize the food?
Chloroplast.
Very good. Good answer. So few organisms, few types of eukaryotic cells, they have produced chloroplast to start the photosynthesis. And those are first algae. And plant life have started in freshwater bodies. Is it very clear in your mind or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the
Yes,
first line
sir.
which is given, is it clear now?
Sir, please can you repeat this again?
I definitely can repeat. There is no doubt and a question about that. Okay, let me restart the entire description. Just a moment. બહારથી બહુ નોઈસ આવે છે એટલા માટે. એક મિનિટ. Students, I think so 40 minutes પછી છે ને આ સેશન એન્ડ થઈ જાય છે. So I request you all to re-log in again with the same ID and same password if you are disconnected. Fine. So let me repeat this entire process. Okay. Early life is started in ocean. Let me write that step as one. So life has started with prokaryotic phase. They evolved with second stage into ocean only. So in ocean, now you have unicellular structure but eukaryotic cells. These eukaryotic cells, which are in extremely salty water, they have adaptation of absorbing nutrients from the water only, which is in the form of the salts, chemicals. So they have adaptation of absorption only. They are getting enough quantity of the required nutrition. So they are well adapted for that particular environment. Now, whensoever very large mountain ranges have been formed, freshwater bodies, I am placing step number 3. Freshwater bodies are formed. Freshwater flows to join the ocean. They have formed the estuarine region where the river is meeting to the ocean floor. It is called the phase number 4, what I am writing here. So we have 3 zones now. One, that is A, what I am mentioning here, extremely salty water. B, partly salty water. And C, fresh water, that is no salt. Now, by tidal activity, organisms are moving from extremely salty to slightly or partly salty, and from slightly salty to no salt at all to fresh water. So when they are reaching from A to B, they can survive because of the presence of the salt. But from B to C, they are unable to survive because of absence of the nutrients what they wish actually to have to survive. So they are supposed to survive, and in order to survive, they have adapted with a specific feature called the adaptation of making their own food. So they have evolved a new organelle called the chloroplast, and that is why the first unicellular algae is developed in fresh water. Ready? So algae is developed in or evolved in fresh water with unicellular form. I hope now everyone is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No doubt in that.
No doubt, sir.
Good. Let me request you to take the screenshot of this slide as it is, which is given here. Taken?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. Oh, sorry. Now, I actually would like to explain you about root. Now, story starts from here. algae which is there in the form of unicellular formats in fresh water started photosynthesis. So part C
सर
begin
आपके दोनों माइक में
this story.
आवाज आ रहा है तो बहुत इको टाइप हो रहा है.
Eco type हो रहा है. Just a moment.